Shag1 Piftings. God, that's awful. Anyway,
roll with it, roll with it.
Joe is fusing again.
Weird.
Got 5th at Grantham Regional.
Grantham.
Yeah, with Branded. Woo!
Weird. Right, okay. So I played 41 cards. The list is the best list you're ever going to see. I wouldn't change a thing. Yeah, genuinely wouldn't change a thing about the whole list. So here we go. So 3 Aluba, 2 of the new best card, the deck for the White Dragon. I'm not going to explain anything that don't need explaining, but I will say if you open Fall on the White Dragon and Branded Fusion, I normally start with White Dragon, sending Albion, summon the Ecclesia, check for a response from the opponent, and then you play appropriately depending on what you think the matchup is or how your opponent responds. You just, in that situation, you trust your skills as a good Yu-Gi-Oh player to make the right decision. Fawn of Albaz, you still need to play 1, and we play this card better than every other deck in the game that plays this card. The 1 of Ecclesia to summon Fawn the White Dragon. Played double Cartesia and a single Quem. You don't need more than 1 Quem anymore because the Synchro Ecclesia can summon this card back, so you have a much better grind game without the second copy of this now. Played the 1 of Albion. Sometimes it comes up where you need to like dump this or something and then use this to send like a Retribution to the grave or an opening if you know you're going to get board wiped. So this card is still good. Sometimes it's an upstart Goblin as well. Last monsters in the main deck, last engine is Kit, other Kit, and Mercuria. So the Mercuria you can get off the new Dogma Dragon, and I'm not playing Lost, so you don't search it on the Lost, but you can get it from like that. You can dump it to the grave and reborn it with this kit to put a negate on the board, and you can keep reborning it with the Quem. This kit, if it's sent to grave, summons a monster that mentions Albaz in the grave. So when you Branded Fusion, you send the kit and the Fawn of White Dragon. You reborn the Fawn of the White Dragon, bring back the Ecclesia, and then you tag it into Abolemitus, and you get your end phase effects. Played Spriggan's Kit. This card is okay. It creates a pretty cool grind game with this card. And it's one of the few sort of extendery cards in the deck where you play some cards that are reliant on us already playing to be able to play the game. Kit is a starter but also an extender in that sense. So I'm going to mention that alongside the Retribution, the Branded in White and the Branded in Red. Branded in White was very good. It's essentially just Miracle Fusion, but it's another way to push through into a board if like your Cartesia gets negated or you can't like fuse with their board. So yeah, it's just another fusion push, and you can use it even if you fuse. You're locked with like Fawn or White Dragon, for example, because you make the Ecclesia. The other spells in the deck play a Gold Sarcophagus to banish the Mercuria because it searches the Fawn of the White Dragon, which is the best starter. And then best card in the deck now is Branded in High Spirits. The fact that this card can discard a Spellcaster to search for Fawn of the White Dragon, and that puts a Granguignol in the grave immediately, is disgusting. Branded Fusion is still very good, but again, you need to trust your skills as a good Yu-Gi-Oh player to decide when to activate this card and not go for the Ecclesia line. But we still play it because it's very good on like follow-up turns, and going second, it's generally better to Branded Fusion. And then free Branded Opening. This only locks you out of fusions after this card resolves. So you can make a push with Ecclesia and then it only locks you afterwards. And we still value the effect in grave. Sometimes you'll use this at like the end phase, often Albion. That gets you an Aluba, which gets you a Branded in Reds, or gets you a Fawn the Virtuous, which then lets you play. Moving over the non-engine, the main now, and sort of bridging the gap between non-engine and engine is Fawn the Virtuous. The second effect to Reborn comes up a lot more in this deck than others. And again, it's what helps you have a really good grind game, because you can summon like Ecclesia Synchro back, and then that gets you the Quem. So that card is very good. And you can actually play hand traps now. So I'm playing 3 Ash Blossom, 3 Veiler, and 3 Fualos. These are High Spirits bridges as well. So you can send Granguignol off the Veiler, and you can send the Rinbrum off the Fualos. And again, that gets you Fawn the White Dragon. So this card being so good now is because this is a starter, right? Because Fawn the White Dragon exists, you can play these hand traps, another non-engine. Before, you would have to get Spriggan's Kit, and then Spriggan's Kit had Branded Fusion and pre-Branded Fusion resolves. You don't have to do it exactly like that now. The last 3 spots in the main are 3 Forbidden Droplets. It was in perms, but worked on the lists with a few people in the team to decide the last slot, and we decided that Droplet was probably the way to go. Droplet was very good today, as was being able to play hand traps and branded. I'll do the side deck next because it's relatively simple. Play 2 Droll because some decks scare me. Play 3 Perulia. VS K9 is honestly a pretty free matchup. Perulia makes it even easier. Their deck just doesn't interact with yours very well. You can Albaz fuse their board away for free constantly. It's great. This just makes it easier, but this is also mainly here for Radiant Typhoon as well. Malice scares me. I did not summon either of these 2 cards today. I didn't go first very often. I did side these cards in, they just never got summoned because my end ball was good enough. You may just not need to play these cards, honestly. Invader of Darkness probably should have been the Diabells instead of Invader because it's a bit more wide-ranging. Maybe you could play just Diabells instead of both of these cards and that frees up a spot. But in theory, these cards are fine. This is basically, this card negates quick play spells. You can't activate them, so it just, as soon as this card hits the board, Radiant Typhoon, just the game's over. Other going first cards played a Judgment and 2 Dragon's Mines and a Call by the Grave, and then for dodging Dracotel traps and the Radiant Typhoon mandate is 2 Double Cyclone. In theory, the deck has a very good time into Radiant Typhoon post side because we have lots of ways to dodge, like Droplet, Cyclone. We get to put Perulias in and Drolls. So yeah, that's that. Then in the extra deck, so only 1 Mojo now, we just recur this card a lot more than we used to. We don't need a second. There were times I wanted one, but it's more just like convenience. Just play better. Played 1 Albion. I did not get to resolve the grave effect of this event. It's very unfortunate. Didn't actually summon this card all that often. It's not the best when you're going into a board, other than the fact that it's a free case stick that can't be targeted. Dragon that Devours the Dogma. Honestly, want to play a second one. Sometimes you really want to send this card off Fallen the Virtuous to get a search, like the Mercuria, and then you go, oh, I don't have Dragon that Devours the Dogma in my graveyard. Oh, sorry, in my extra deck. I kind of want a second, and it helps you with your grind game having a second one. I'm not going to explain these cards too much. I played a Rinbrum, I played a Lubellion, I played a Titaniclad. I played an Albalenitus, which sometimes you make as part of the end board just to send off your copies of Albion the Branded Dragon to the grave so you can use their effects. I never fused an opponent's board of this today, but it's there in theory. The only synchro is the Ecclesian the Dark Dragon. The graveyard effect of this is incredible, and it's one of the ways you can recur things like the Dragon that Devours the Dogma. And if you can recur this, you can recur everything else, including like your Retribution from Banished. So if you play it very well, you have like essentially an infinite grind game. Other sort of non-Albaz fusions, I played double Grand Guignol, mainly because I'm on the Veilers, and one of the High Spirits bridges is High Spirits discard Veiler, pitch this, and I still want a second copy. So because I'm siding the targets to summon off the Sanctifier or off of the Fallen the Virtuous, I want the second one, so I can still access that, even if I have to High Spirits a spellcaster. Excuse me. Last 3 cards, Chaos Star Source was perfectly reasonable today. It cleared D-Fissures for days. I played a Secretarian Dragon, it never got summoned today, and my absolute goat is Despian Proskinion. It's the best card in the extra deck. I love Despian Proskinion. Although Quiritus is very good as well, this card is just a bit of a Towers. It's not actually Towers, but I like it. It's great. You summon SP off this card a lot. It's great. You like clear your opponent's board, summon their SP back, and now you've got like a permanent interrupt that recurs every turn. It's fantastic. Fusing. So yeah, that's the deck. Nothing I'd really change other than maybe fit in a second Dragon that Devours the Dogma, but it's not essential. If I played more Dracotel, I'd probably have appreciated Secretarian Dragon more, but I didn't. That's it.